Well, Joe, thank you for being with us again for a third year in a row with our Special Fathers Network Dad's Virtual Conference. It's great to have you. And by brief way of introduction, Joe was podcast dad number 5, so he allowed me to use him as a guinea pig when we first started our Special Fathers Network Dad to Dad podcasts. And this week we released episode 201. So Joe, welcome back.
My pleasure, David. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I've just got a few questions to kick our conference off. And, you're one of the more seasoned dads in the network, in your mid 70s. And I'm wondering, how has raising a child, in your case with your daughter, Mia, impacted you in your life?
Well, that's a good question. I often get asked, like they'll say things like, what's it like to have a daughter, on the autism spectrum? And my answer has been, I don't know what it's like not to have a daughter on the autism spectrum. So it is that. It is that aspect of my life that has been that, she's 35 years old now. She was diagnosed at about 2.5. So for the last 33 and a half years, that has been our experience, my wife, myself, and of course, not Mia as well, and my other daughter, Gia. So I live by the watchwords of everyone's got a story and nobody gets a free ride. I mean, I feel that about life in general for every human being on this planet. And so that's part of my story, and that's the ride we're on. Now, if somebody asks, well, if you would have chosen that ride, would that have been the one you would choose? Probably not. However, that again, nobody gets a free ride. So you take that ride, and the goal is to, what are you going to do about it? I go back to the moment when the doctor first, when we first brought our daughter in, when we first had a feeling that there was something different, something going on. We were in New York at the time. And I remember vividly, sitting there with the doctor, my wife and I, and him looking at us and saying, well, looks to us, she's got about 7 out of the 10 kind of indications that she has autism. And there was that moment, when your heart goes into your stomach and then flies back up into your chest. And at that time, this was 1990. And so at that time, that word wasn't so much in the vernacular of people as it is today. So after that initial shock, that initial kind of, it's like being told you have the C word in a way, But then you go, okay, now what? Now what do we do? And that's your other choice. You have the two choices. The one choice is go, well, woe is me. Our life has forever changed. This is terrible. Everything is over. Or you go, okay, if that's the case, what do we do about it? And thank God I have a wife that, we're all on the same page in that respect of like, okay, nobody said, everything was going to be like in Father Knows Best, or like leave it to Beaver. There's going to be some little obstacles in the road of our life that we're going to deal with. And we have, and we do. So it's been that journey for the last 30 plus years. And there's been, wonderful aspects to it. We've learned a lot from it. I think I've grown as a person. I know we may reference a show that I've just done recently called As We See It on Amazon Prime, which deals with autism. I know there's this one scene, I think it's in the last episode, where I think my character, and ironically, of course, I play a father of a child with autism in the show, where I basically say how I'm paraphrasing it, but somewhat of just how much I've learned from that experience, how much I've grown from that experience. Now, again, it's not necessarily the path of growth that one signs up for if given the choice. And yeah, this is what I'd love to be, in life. But when put on that path, it's how you make the most of it. And I think it's been, I have a beautiful daughter who's just the love of our life, and it's, a great human being. And hopefully we've profited from many aspects of that.
Yeah, well, thank you for your authenticity. I really appreciate it. And, some of the dads in the network have said similar things to what you've said, and would even take it a step further and would say, I wouldn't have asked for a child with special needs, but knowing everything they know now, it wouldn't change anything either, which I think is rather a profound statement.
No, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, it's like, again, everything, it's 2020 vision in retrospect is always past, but Yeah, I mean, and I also am a firm believer. Well, I don't think I'm the most, certainly not the most religious person in the world, but I like to think I have some spirituality, and I do think there is some wisdom and truth in that. You're, for the most part in life, you're given what you can handle and what you can, what you can take. I know that's not the case for everyone, for a lot of reasons. But if I have to, I feel very blessed in my life, and I feel that if this is considered an obstacle, or if this is considered a handicap, if this is considered a negative aspect of our life, I'll take it, now and forever. You know what I mean? Because we've already we've passed that. We know that there are negative ramifications to having this in the family life, but all the positives, that it's the memories, and just the fact that you have a child that is so pure of heart. She teaches me things every day of what it's like to have total innocence, to be, to be sinless in a way, and I could never ever see her being in a position where she would do anything that would be contrary to what, any, whether you follow Jesus, Buddha, Mohammed, or any religion in the world. you know there's a great book called The Clowns of God by Morris West, the former priest. And he kind of, in the book, they touch on that, about how those are the special needs people. Those are the clowns of God. Those are the people that put a smile on God's face because they're pure of heart. They do no wrong. And, not maliciously.
Well, thanks for sharing the book title, The Clowns of God. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
You made reference earlier to the Amazon original series, which this time last year you were working on and subsequently has debuted. And my recollection was the working title was Forget Normal, and the actual title was As We See It. And I'm wondering if you can share with our attendees and those that might be watching this afterwards, what that experience was all about.
Well, it was just fantastic. I mean, I just finished 13 years on the show Criminal Minds, and I was kind of in a little hiatus period, not knowing what I was going to do next. And my agent sent me the script, and I read it, and it was like, in many ways, it was reading my autobiography. I mean, here was a script about a father of a child with autism. In this case, it was a son. And it was so true to life, and it was so on the money, so up, and it didn't pull any punches, because it was, first of all, because it was going to be for streaming, it wasn't going to be network, so they didn't have to, like, hedge around and play around in terms of language and situations. And when I read it, I thought, this is unbelievable. This is one of the best things I've ever read, for many reasons, personal. It was created by Jason Katims, the same gentleman who created Friday Night Lights and Parenthood, two excellent shows. And as it turns out, Jason himself has a son on the spectrum. And so he wrote this based on his experiences and his need to want to create a show, dealing with this. And initially they told me the show was going to shoot in Chicago, the whole series. No, I love Chicago. I'm from Chicago. But after over 40 years in California, I wasn't about to move back to shoot a series. But I love to go visit, but I wasn't going to go move back for what it would take to shoot a whole series there. So I told my agents, I said, I love the script so much, I want to meet with Jason Katims just to tell him how much I love the show, but yet to tell him I'm not moving to Chicago. So I met with him, I explained all this to him. He was so gracious. And I told him, I said, if by any chance the show moves to Los Angeles, I'm in. As luck would have it, Amazon did decide to move the show to Los Angeles. And they called me, said, we moved it, are you still in? I said, without question. I went in, we shot these 8 episodes, and the beautiful thing about it, the 3 young adults who play the leads, they all live together in this kind of like protected environment, and they really are on the spectrum. And the other great thing about it, Jason, worked it out that they would hire 12 people on the crew, all on the spectrum. I was even able to get 2 friends of mine's sons who were on the spectrum to be on the crew. Now, this was a big deal, because this wasn't like some TV show that we shot on a street corner. We shot this up at Universal Studios. This was Amazon Prime. This was top tier, television kind of production. And the experience was just unbelievable. I mean, all 8 episodes I thought were beautifully written, beautifully done. And I'm very proud of what we have out there. They're all out there now. We're waiting to hear if they're going to be picked up, Amazon has a period of time to make that decision. I think we should know soon. I think in about a week or so, we'll know if they're going to be doing any more shows. And I've been in the business long enough to know the quality of something doesn't necessarily dictate a guarantee that you'll continue. Sometimes it gets down to dollars and cents. But again, like I said, it was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And I encourage anybody out there, especially people part of your network, to catch any of these episodes called As We See It. They're only half-hour long. There's 8 of them, so you can see the whole thing in 4 hours. But I think you'll see something that's pretty eye-opening and pretty enlightening, and kind of a step ahead in a way of a lot of the other shows that deal with the subject matter in a less kind of maybe profound and realistic way.
Well, let me offer my testimonial after having watched all 8 episodes. It is remarkable. And the point you made about the actors, the 3 primary characters, what I call the young 20-somethings that are living together, all being on the spectrum themselves, not actors playing somebody on the spectrum, but actually being on the spectrum. And then it's really heartwarming to hear that there were people working behind the scenes as well to help produce the series that were also included. And, at the end of the day, I think that's one of the overarching narratives is inclusion and acceptance, right? And that's what I heard you talking about. So as it relates to the show having a longer life, I remember my grandmother used to say to me, from your lips to God's ears. I'm hoping that's the case. So we wish you the best of luck on that project and whatever other projects that you might be involved with.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, actually, Criminal Minds has gotten the okay to reboot. So actually, I'm going to be starting that in August, and that'll be on Paramount Plus, which is another one of the streaming services. That seems to be where most dramatic things are going these days. So anyway, yeah, my date book's filling up, but life goes on. I feel very blessed. My life is good. My wife and I have been together for over 50 years now. We've got 2 beautiful children, and I applaud you for what you've done, David. I mean, this I know this is not an easy thing. What you've taken on upon yourself to do, and it's I'm happy to support you.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's not an individual effort. There are hundreds and hundreds of individuals that are involved, including yourself and so many others. And we're very grateful to have you as part of the Special Fathers Network. Thank you for being part of the team. Thanks for making time to be with us today. And I look forward to following up in the near future.
Same here, my friend. Take care.
Okay, be well.
Right.